Yogis, namaste. Welcome back to your practice and to your mat. We have finally arrived at our final practice here under the Homecoming Yin series. So it is an entire series that we've developed to bring you back to your most authentic self and to just return you to your roots and to remind you of everything that you know yourself to be. So in this final episode or this final class, we are focused into the meridian pair of your liver and gallbladder. So liver meridian runs through the entire frontal line of the body, whereas your gallbladder runs down the sides of your body. All right, so this meridian pair is governing your qi and your blood flow throughout the entire body. And at the same time, it helps with your detox and digestive system. The emotion that is tied to your liver and gallbladder is the emotion of anger. And with that, we have an affirmation that we'd like to use today for our practice. So as always, I'll be repeating this throughout the next 30 minutes. It's a pretty long one today. So the affirmation for our practice today is, I breathe and I respond with a steady mind and an open heart. Okay, so I'll repeat that one more time before we start getting into our practice. The affirmation is, I breathe and respond with a steady mind and an open heart. Okay, with that being said, let's go ahead and meet in a tall, upright, seated position. If you're already there, feel free to get a little more comfortable. Then as always, you could have your props ready or bolster your blocks. And then let's go ahead and find stillness here. You may start to close down your eyes if it's comfortable for you today. You may begin to soften your shoulders. And just take your time here to arrive at the seat of your practice. Notice the way of which you've arrived today, whether this may be the start of your day, somewhere in between, or maybe towards the end of your day. Notice the method and the way of which you have arrived here. As you notice and as you observe, we'll take at least 5 breaths here. So be gentle with every round of breath. Take space, take time. You may even begin to deepen, lengthen, and steady out every round of breath. Let's give ourselves just 3 to 4 more like this. Two to 3 more rounds of breath. Still noticing and just taking mental notes as to how you may be showing up right at this moment for your practice. Last breath or 2 here, knowing and acknowledging that there is no right or wrong way to show up on your mat. You just have to be here. And that is all that the practice asks from you. Last breath here. Now, if your eyes are closed, you may keep them closed. Gently place one hand to your heart, one hand to your belly. And with that, notice the breath even more so. Maybe 1 or 2 more breaths here first. Last breath here. And as you keep your breath going at your own pace, I will repeat that same affirmation again one more time. You can choose to say it out loud with me, or you can just keep it in your heart. So for today, the affirmation is, I breathe and respond with a steady mind and an open heart. I breathe and respond with a steady mind and an open heart. Once you've allowed that to sink in just a little, let's go ahead and release the hands. Take your last breath or 2 here. And finishing off, one last breath. And then softly you may start to just tuck the chin down first towards the chest. Gently blinking the eyes open. And then we'll go ahead and move into our first posture of your practice today. Let's come on down onto our hands and knees to start. Okay, so take your time to navigate here. And once you arrive on your hands and knees, and take the palms forward, drop the elbows down to the mat, and then drop the hips all the way down for your Sphinx pose. So you might shimmy out the body here, making space around the spine, the hips, and the shoulders. Release the feet, allow them to be easy here. And then from here, let's go ahead and bend our left knee out towards the side. You can almost imagine this to be like a frog pose position. The height of the knee is completely up to you. It could be very close to your elbow. Maybe it's slightly lower down, more like tree pose here. Okay, once you found that position and it's comfortable in your lower body, let's go ahead and walk the elbows out towards the top right corner of the mat. So essentially you're moving away from your left knee. Okay, once you're here, you could stay on your elbows here, maybe just soften through the head and the neck, allowing the head to dangle downwards. Or you may take your left elbow even further forward, left palm further forward as well. Set the elbow down, and then maybe rest your head into that left palm. So your gaze or the direction of your head is towards the right side. You may stay here if you start to feel that maybe you'd like to come into something a little more restful. Release the left palm forward again, and then maybe just rest your head onto your upper arm. Okay, so take what feels right for today in your body. You may start to notice sensations running through that left groin, left inner thigh, maybe the hamstring. Then you might feel a little bit of a side bending in the body as well. As your body moves over towards the right, you might feel a bit of length into the space just underneath that left armpit. At the same time, you might even feel into the shoulder here if you're holding your head into your hand. Let's go ahead and settle here. We'll take about 6 to 8 breaths in this posture. And perhaps with breath and with time, the body starts to get a little heavier onto the mat and onto your hand here. Your breaths are full, but there is a sense of ease in the inhales and the exhales. It may feel structured or it may feel free here. And just another 5 more breaths. Take your time, another 4 more breaths here. Just another 3 more. As I count down the breaths for you, know that anytime you'd like to linger a little longer, or you'd like to maybe make some small, subtle movements to get more comfortable, know that you can do so anytime throughout these postures. We've just got 2 more breaths. Now with your next exhale, if you're holding onto your head, release the palm forward. If you're resting your head down onto the upper arm, just simply lifting the head here. Bring the elbows back in, so you're back into your chest lifted position. Bring the hands forward, so no longer turning towards the right. And then let's go ahead and straighten out left leg back behind you. Make any adjustments around the hips. You may even have a gentle sway side to side here. And then just allow your body to dangle downwards towards the mat. And so your head is heavy, your neck is soft. And take a moment to pause here first, giving ourselves about 2 to 3 breaths before we swap over to the right side. In these moments of rebound, notice what you notice here, whether they are physical experiences. You may notice certain sensations. Maybe you notice a sense of relief coming through the body after releasing a long hold. Last breath here. Now begin to open your eyes. You might lift the head. This time we'll bend right knee out to the side. So again, you could adjust the height of the knee. Make any adjustments around your body whenever you need to. And then now this time we'll walk the elbows out towards the left corner of the mat. So again, here you might just stay in your Sphinx position with the chest lifted. You might take your right elbow further forward and rest the head into that right hand. Or you may come down to rest onto your mat and onto your upper arm. And once you've found your way into your shape here, let's give ourselves 6 to 8 breaths. So take your time here. If you're still finding the position that feels best, know that you have the time here. And only when you feel ready to find stillness, we'll start to move into those 6 to 8 breaths. And just about 5 more here. Still finding that space, that mindfulness attached to your breaths. It is this sense of mindfulness and consciousness that helps us in situations that may be a bit more stressful in our day-to-day, maybe in times of conflict. It's always the breath that is consistently there for us. Sometimes we forget that we have this powerful tool that's already inbuilt within us. Let's do 3 more breaths here. Last 2 breaths. And just 1 more here. Now begin to release the hand if you're holding on to the back of your head. Lift the head here, bringing the elbows back onto the mat to face the front. And let's go ahead and straighten out right leg back. Maybe a small shimmy of the hips side to side. And then give ourselves a moment here to allow the head and the neck to dangle forward again. And just pausing here for about 2 to 3 slow breaths. And let's take our last one here. Now begin to open your eyes, lift the chin, bring the palms together. You might stack them one over the other. As you press into your palms, open the elbows wide. And then just bringing one side of your cheek down to rest onto your palms here. We'll take just maybe 2 breaths, finding this prone position with a sense of heaviness pulling down towards your mat. One last breath here. And then begin to lift the head again. This time bring the palms next to your chest. We're going to press our hips all the way back to come into a hero's pose or virasana. As you find your upright seat, take a moment here. Now once you're comfortable here, we're going to have your fingertips cupping down just alongside your shins or alongside your ankles. And then from here, we're going to just lean slightly back. So as you bring your fingertips down, you might even adjust them slightly further back depending on the space that you need. Now as you press your tops of the feet down, we're going to lean back to lift the knees off the mat for a moment. So this helps to maybe get into the tops of the feet, which is essentially also part of your meridian pair, your liver and your gallbladder. Breathe here. Take about 3 to 4 more breaths. You might start to feel a bit of sensation already, if not a lot. Just continue to keep the breaths going here. And if possible, maintaining in your stillness. 2 to 3 more breaths. One or two more. Just staying here just a little more. One last breath. And then softly set the knees down again. And take your hands forward. And then just for a moment, roll out your ankles. Okay, release into the sensations. Maybe you felt certain tension. Just release all of that. And take another breath here. And now from here, we're going to proceed to lie onto our mat. So you're going to take your feet out one side. Take your feet forward and then scoot down towards the middle of your mat. Now just make sure you have your bolster or your blocks. You can choose one for the last pose later. Just have them really close next to you. Now from here, let's go ahead and find Shavasana first. And so bring the body all the way down onto the mat. And just getting comfortable here, our first time lying down in this practice today. And so you might make adjustments. You might wriggle a little bit. And then just give yourselves about 2 to 3 breaths, finding stillness, encouraging the whole back line of the body to take the sense of rest. 1 or 2 more breaths here. And just finishing off one last breath here. Now from here, let's go ahead and bring your hands to the back of your head. You might interlace your fingers. Okay, as you place your hands at the back of your head, allow the elbows to splay open. So you may feel space into the upper body here, elbows taking up space. And then your feet stay open in that Shavasana position. So left foot is on the left corner, right foot is on the right corner. Let's go ahead and transfer left foot either next to the right foot, so it's moving over to the right side, or left ankle crosses on top of the right. Okay, if this position starts to get a little uncomfortable around your sacrum or your SI joint, then go ahead and just place your foot next to the right foot, so you don't have to cross the ankles. Now, once you're in this position, just go ahead and lift the head and the hands, and then set everything down to the top right corner of your mat. So from this top view, you might be feeling and noticing that your body is in a C curl. And you're feeling a bit more space onto the left side body in this position. So take your time here. Once you're ready to settle, we've got about 6 to 8 breaths. Still very gentle, very mindful. Your breaths still remain your tool here. And just finding a sense of calm, a sense of ease. And just about 5 more breaths here. And just another 3. At this moment of your practice, you might already start to tune in a little more within your own space. And final 2 breaths. And then softly we'll bring the head and the hands back towards center of the mat. If you need a moment to release your hands down, know that you can. And then let's go ahead and uncross left ankle, bringing the foot back over to the left side of the mat. Okay, we'll pause here for just about 2 breaths in this middle point before we switch over to the second side. Now this time, we'll shift our awareness to the right foot. The right foot will start to move over to the left side, maybe placing the feet next to each other, or right ankle on top of the left ankle. So know that you have your options here again. Feel free to explore. And upper body will lift up, shifting everything down to the left this time. So now in this side, the length is potentially felt a little more into the right side body. Make the adjustments that you need to here, then we'll come down into stillness. 6 to 8 breaths. And just about 5 more breaths here. And as we approach the closing of our practice, you may be feeling your breath coming into this state of steadiness. Maybe it feels big in the body. Maybe it feels subtle. And regardless of the shape and the scale of the breath, there is this element of calm, this element of just steady rhythm that is pulsing through you. Essentially, it becomes this source of stability in your body and beyond your body. Let's take 3 more breaths here. And just finishing off, 1 last breath here. Let's begin to lift upper body again. Returning center, this time release your hands down by your side. And uncross your right foot, right ankle, placing it back into Shavasana. Let's give ourselves a couple moments here to find stillness. Maybe you're feeling sensations physically. Maybe you're just feeling a sense of ease throughout the body here. Let's do 2 more breaths. And very softly from here, let's go ahead and step your 2 feet onto the mat, knees pointing up towards the ceiling. Now you either grab hold of your bolster or a block that is close to you. You're going to press into your feet, lift the hips, and we'll slide either the bolster or the block underneath the hips. So if it's your bolster, it is the width of your mat. Okay, from here, settle the hips back down. If you're using a block, you might start with the lowest level first, and then if you'd like to take it higher, know that you have the option to. Now from here for today, let's try to find Shavasana with the elevated hips. So you might extend your legs back to the corners of your mat. If ever you need to modify this, maybe you step your feet onto the mat again. Know that you can just make the changes that feel best in your body. Now this will be our Shavasana for our practice today. If you need to take up space with your hands, your feet, make the adjustments in the body to get spacious and to find a sense of groundedness down onto the mat. Once you're ready to take Shavasana, know that this entire practice is just simply a tool to remind you of the person that you already know yourself to be. But you always have your breath. You always have your body. You always have your heart. So as I leave you here in your Shavasana, your final resting pose, we'll just repeat perhaps to ourselves this affirmation one last time today. And then we let it rest for the next minute or so in your Shavasana. That affirmation is, I breathe and I respond with a steady mind and an open heart. Shavasana. Now, yogis, if you have the time and space to linger here just a little while longer, I encourage you to just be here and take time for yourself. And thank you so much for joining us throughout this entire homecoming journey. We will see you in the next Yin series. Namaste, yogis.